A Tiny Sticker Tale. This is another game where you're on an island and it's a short story about helping people there and or figuring out a mystery. At this point, this has to be a genre. Short island game. I've actually reviewed a few of them, like A Short Hike, Haven Park, and I guess maybe you could sort of say Beacon Pines, but that one's not as short as the other two. This title feels like the creators must have played A Short Hike and said, yeah, we want to do the same thing, but let's make it way more linear. It acts like you're free to walk around and play the game any way you want, but it puts up roadblocks if you try to get ahead of its storytelling. The story is that you come to an island because your dad told you to, or at least I think he did. It's never made clear. The game starts out with you on a boat with no sails or oars, so I have no idea how your boat even got to this island. Let's say magic. You will find letters from your dad littered all over the island. You'll find it in random places on the floor, almost like your dad wrote a letter and threw it on the ground. You can tell how much he loves you when he calls you child, almost like he was expecting maybe one of his kids would show up, but he didn't quite know which one, so he didn't want to be specific. Now your dad is going to leave letters all over the place, which has some strange requests at times, like asking me to find a missing boy. Why is my dad writing a letter to a child, asking them to go searching for another child? Instead of writing this, how about you go look for them? So let me get this straight. You took the time to write this letter, who knows when, and then put it in a random location, hoping your son would find it. All the while this child was missing? That's an insane quest setup if you really think about it. But as with most of the island and its mysteries, it asks you not to think too hard about it. The whole setup of this game was odd. I 100% thought the twist was going to be that I was in purgatory, and my dad's notes were his way of getting me ready for heaven. But imagine my surprise when it wasn't that at all. He just really thought leaving notes in random places was a good idea. But it does sort of set up the purgatory thing with all the rainbows and ghosts you might see. But maybe I was just reading too much into this simple game. You find out that you have the power to turn items into stickers and move them around the world. And that's really all the gameplay there is. You use the right stickers in the right places, while finding the 5 talismans in order to unlock the final screen. The island didn't really have any sense of reality to it at all. Not only was one part of it a desert, but only a few screens away, there's snow on another. I haven't seen crazy weather areas like this since Go Vacation. Some of the areas that you walk into feel like it's nighttime. Even though one screen up, you would think it was so sunny you would need sunscreen. They were all setups for having to use your sticker powers in the world. But in practice, it looks very strange. Like I mentioned, you're going to need to grab the things around you in order to solve the puzzles. That includes the villagers who live here as well. I got to a point where I really didn't want to backtrack for the 5th time, and I just grabbed every villager and item I could, and just jammed them into my sticker book for later. The backtracking wasn't terrible, it was just more inconvenient. The island isn't that large, and at a certain point you could quickly walk from one side to the other. But at that point in the game, it's almost over, and you've used up most of the stickers that were filling up your book anyway. The sticker gimmick was interesting, but the game really didn't like it when you try to do something that it wasn't laid out in an obvious way. Like at one point you get a bridge to cross areas, but it really only works in a few places. Even if there's a gap you should be able to walk over, if it's not where they want you to put it, it won't work. You can place a sticker anywhere, but it might not do anything, even if it really should. If a certain person needed to be somewhere, they would give you a dotted outline of them. So that was helpful, but you need to go through your head what all these villagers look like in order to fill in that dotted line. So like I said, I just ended up grabbing random villagers to make it easier on myself. The biggest problem with grabbing everyone so you wouldn't have to backtrack is that the sticker book was not that big, so I would have to cheat a little. I found if you barely touch the edges of the paper, it would count it, and you can add in more stickers to the pages than it expected. You can make the sticker book larger later in the game, but by that time you won't need to hoard stickers because you're almost done. I liked the way it was played. It was very fun, and it really didn't hold your hand much. It might give you a task to do, but how you actually get the talismans is not really told to you. You get them from the villagers you help, but there are many more villagers than talismans. Most of the time if you help a villager, they just give you upgrade pixies in order to expand your sticker book. Like I mentioned, there are optional side missions, which would give you upgrade pixies or things for a random house that would just show up in the middle of the map, and they let you furnish it. But why would I ever want to do this? I have enough items clogging up my sticker book. Why would I ever want to put furniture in there? Only used for decorating. One of the best things this game does is when you get a sticker, it will show you on the map where you left it. So if you don't want to carry something, you can actually look through your collection book and it will show you exactly where it is on the map. It was very convenient. A Tiny Sticker Tale was entertaining for the 2 hours it lasted. I did enjoy most of the side quests, not knowing they were actually side quests. I was just trying to find the talismans. The game was enjoyable and it wasn't that hard. The biggest thing that you might find difficult is figuring out how to unlock certain areas. This is normally $9.99, and I do think that's a fair price for this. While I do wish this was a bit cheaper since it's only 2 hours, I can see the publisher's justification for almost $10. It has an interesting gimmick with turning people and items into stickers and using them in the world. If you want to play a short game where you're wandering around an island helping people, and you've already played a short hike, this might be worth a buy.